It all started with a rumor. A whisper that spread like wildfire across social media, igniting fan theories, shipping wars, and endless speculation. Wang and Shen Yue, two names forever linked by their on-screen chemistry in Meteor Garden, were at the center of yet another controversy. But this time, it wasn't about a new project or a secret meeting. This time, it was about Wang's confession. A confession that shattered illusions, broke hearts, and revealed a truth no one was prepared to hear. For years, fans had clung to the dream of Dylan and Shen Yue being more than just co-stars. Their playful interactions, lingering glances, and undeniable chemistry had fueled endless speculation. Interviews were dissected, behind-the-scenes footage analyzed, and every social media post scrutinized for hidden meanings. The line between fiction and reality blurred, creating a fantasy where Dylan and Shen Yue were destined to be together. But reality, as it turned out, was far more complicated. Dylan had always been the confident one. Charismatic, playful, and effortlessly charming, he carried an air of mischief that made him instantly likable. Shen Yue, on the other hand, was quieter, thoughtful, reserved, and often caught off guard by the whirlwind energy Dylan brought into a room. Together, they were a perfect contrast, a balance of fire and calm. But behind the scenes, things were never as simple as they seemed. The confession came during an interview, one that started like any other. Light-hearted questions, laughter, and nostalgia about their time filming together. But then the topic shifted. The interviewer, sensing an opportunity, asked the question that had been on everyone's mind for years. Did you ever have feelings for Shen Yue? For a split second, Dylan hesitated. It was brief, almost imperceptible, but in that moment, everything changed. His usual confidence wavered, and his expression turned serious. He took a deep breath, his gaze lowering slightly before he finally spoke. I did, he admitted softly. I had feelings for her. The room fell silent. Even the interviewer seemed momentarily stunned. It wasn't the answer people expected. At least, not in the way Dylan was about to reveal. It wasn't like how people think, he continued. It wasn't some dramatic love story, and it definitely wasn't what the fans made it out to be. But yeah, I had feelings. His voice was steady, but there was a heaviness in his tone, a weight that hinted at something deeper, something painful. The confession wasn't just about an old crush. It was about something that had been buried, something unresolved. I admired her a lot, Dylan said, his expression softening. She's one of the most genuine people I've ever met. She doesn't pretend to be someone she's not. And back then, when we were working together every day, it was impossible not to feel something. The memories were flooding back. Long hours on set, stolen moments of laughter. The way Shen Yue's eyes would light up when she talked about something she loved. They had shared so much, yet there was always an invisible wall between them. But we were never meant to be, he admitted, a bittersweet smile forming on his lips. Not the way people wanted. There it was, the heartbreak. The truth that fans had refused to accept for years. Dylan hadn't been holding on to some secret love story. He hadn't been waiting for the perfect moment to confess his undying feelings. He had loved her, in his own way, but he had also known it would never work. Timing, circumstances, and their own individual paths had led them in different directions. They were young, caught in the chaos of fame, and struggling to navigate their own identities. Dylan, with his rising career and relentless schedule, had barely any time to process his own emotions, let alone act on them. And Shen Yue, always cautious, had kept a firm boundary between them. She knew, Dylan said, surprising everyone. I never told her directly, but she knew. There was a pause, a distant look in his eyes as he recalled the unspoken understanding between them. Shen Yue had always been perceptive, always aware of the energy between them. But she had never encouraged it, never given him false hope. Instead, she had chosen to protect their friendship, to ensure that whatever feelings existed wouldn't complicate their professional lives. And she made the right choice, Dylan admitted. Because if we had tried, it would have ruined everything. It was a hard truth to accept, even for him. The fantasy of what could have been was tempting, but reality had other plans. They had careers to focus on, dreams to chase, and a friendship that was too precious to risk. But that didn't mean it was easy. There were moments, he confessed, his voice quieter now. Moments where I thought, maybe. The late-night conversations, the inside jokes, the way she would lean on him when she was exhausted, but never let herself get too close. It was in the small things, the fleeting glances, the almosts, the what-ifs. But in the end, that's all they were. Moments. Nothing more. And yet, despite everything, Dylan had no regrets. "She's still one of the most important people in my life," he said firmly. "And I'd rather have her as a friend forever than risk losing her completely." It was a rare glimpse into the real Dylan Wang. Not the playful actor, not the heartthrob fans adored, but the man behind it all. A man who had loved, who had let go, and who had found peace and acceptance. The interview ended, but the impact of his words lingered. Fans took to social media, some heartbroken, others in denial. Some still held on to hope, while others finally understood. The truth wasn't a grand love story or a dramatic betrayal. It was something far more human, complicated, messy, and beautifully bittersweet. Dylan Wang had confessed. He had told the truth about Shen Yue. And in doing so, he had given the world something far more real than any scripted romance. He had given them honesty.
The confession sent shockwaves through the fandom. Social media exploded with reactions. Some fans heartbroken, others grateful for Dylan's honesty. Some refused to believe it, clinging to hope that there was more to the story, that maybe Dylan was holding back, protecting something even deeper. But for those who truly listened, the message was clear. Dylan Wang had loved Shen Yue in his own way, but it had never been the fairy tale people imagined. Shen Yue, as expected, remained silent. She had always been private, never one to fuel rumors or entertain unnecessary drama. But people watched her closely, analyzing her every move. Every post, every interview, every expression. Fans searched for a hidden response, a sign that she had heard Dylan's words and had something to say. But she gave them nothing. And yet, those closest to her knew. The confession had reached her. How could it not? It wasn't just a trending topic. It was a piece of her past resurfacing in the most public way possible. And no matter how much time had passed, no matter how much she had moved on, hearing Dylan say those words must have stirred something deep inside her. It wasn't that she had never cared. On the contrary, she had cared too much. That was why she had drawn a line from the very beginning, why she had never allowed herself to fall the way he had. She had seen it happen before, co-stars getting swept up in emotions, mistaking deep connection for something more, only to crash and burn once reality set in. She couldn't let that happen to them. So she had chosen distance, even when it hurt. She had chosen friendship, even when it meant letting go of what could have been. But hearing Dylan's words now, all these years later, made her wonder. Had he been as heartbroken as the fans were now? Had she underestimated the depth of his feelings? Or had they both simply been too young